Hi, this is a nice gentle Pilates video for you. So go ahead now and come down onto your back and let's get started. Okay, so we begin with our feet flat on the floor, keeping the feet and the knees hip-width distance apart. And let's get our pelvis into a nice neutral position so we can feel a little bit of a gap in the small of your back. Now move up to your shoulders, spread them out nice and evenly on the floor and just draw them down away from the ears. And then we just breathe. So you can allow your eyes to close if that helps you to focus. And when we breathe in, try to breathe in through the nose and think about your ribs expanding as you fill the lungs full of air. And then as you breathe out, start to think about drawing the belly button inwards as you flatten and tighten those muscles in underneath your belly button. Good, a couple more breaths. Lovely. Now, on your next breath in, I want you to float the arms up so your fingertips are pointing up towards the ceiling. Now we're just going to hold them here. And now I want you to think about reaching up towards the ceiling just by moving the arms. So you feel your shoulders and arms pull upwards. And then lower them back down again as if you're really pressing the shoulders down into the floor as hard as you can. And again, stretch up. And then lower down. Moving with the breath if you can. Breathe in as you reach upwards towards the ceiling. And breathe out as you press the shoulders down into the ground. We'll do two more. Last one. Okay, lovely. Now we're going to do some nice big circles of the arms. So again, breathing in on the way up, and then breathing out as you circle the arms down, back towards the body. Try not to let your ribs flare up too much as you're lifting the arms up and overhead. And also don't worry if you can't quite touch the floor above your head. Sometimes we have a lot of tightness there, especially if you're doing this first thing in the morning. Let's do two more. Lovely, and then just bring the arms down to rest either side of your body. Checking with your shoulders again, they're nicely down away from your ears. Okay, now we're going to move down into our feet and ankles and do a little bit of ankle mobility work. So first off, we're just going to come up onto our tiptoes and then lower down onto our heels and then lift our toes off the floor. Toes down, lift the heels. Heels down, lift the toes. Continue as fast or as slow as you like to go. We'll do one more, lifting the heels and lifting the toes. Lovely. Now if you can lift your right leg, your right foot off the floor and reach round, grab hold behind the thigh. And then all we're going to do is point the toes and flex the foot. Point and flex. Point and flex. And we'll do it 2 more times. Point and flex. Last one. Point and flex. Lower that right leg back down to the floor. And then lift your left, and we'll repeat that on the left leg, the left foot. So we point and flex. Point and flex. And last 2. Good, and then lower your left leg down again. Then hands just down on the floor beside you. Then we're going to start moving our pelvis a little bit. So as we breathe out, I want you to think about tucking the pelvis back. So we pull the lower back, flatten that lower back, press it down into the floor. Then as we breathe in, we do the opposite. Get a little scoop in the lower spine and press the glutes down into the floor. Try not to arch too much in the midsection of your spine. So we're just moving the pelvis rather than the whole back. Just little pelvic tilts. Breathe out, tilt back. Breathe in, tilt forward. Breathe out, tilt back. Breathe in, tilt forward. Good. Now we're going to add in a little bit of extra movement coming up into the shoulder bridge. So as you breathe out, lift that lower back off the floor. Then the middle section lifts off, squeeze into your glutes and hold, breathing in. And then lower down again. Middle section connects back down. Lower back connects back down. And then a little breath in as you tilt the pelvis forwards to neutral again. And repeat. Breathing out, tilt back and curl up and lift just as high as you can manage. Again, if you're doing this first thing in the morning, you might be feeling really tight and there might not be much lift at all. It's all okay. Just do whatever you can and whatever feels good for your body in this moment. Trying to marry the breath with the movement. Going nice and slow and keeping everything nice and controlled. Let's do 2 more of these. Last one. Lovely, and then just hug the right knee in to the chest and belly, and then the left knee in to the chest and belly. Okay, good. Then feet down flat onto the floor again. A nice breath in as you reach the arms up overhead, wherever you can manage. Again, trying not to arch too much and flare up in the ribs. So breathing in, reaching up overhead. And then as you breathe out, we lift the head and shoulders off the floor and bring your knees in for a hug. Then feet back down onto the floor, breathe in, reach up. And repeat, breathe out, lift the knees in, lift your head and shoulders off the floor and come in for a little hug. Just repeat that a few more times. Inhale overhead, breathe out. And one more. Brilliant. Feet back down onto the floor, head and shoulders back down onto the floor. Just bring your arms out slightly to each side and come up onto your tiptoes. Now as we breathe in, let the knees fall over to the right hand side. And then breathe out. Bring them back into the center. Then sweep over to the other side. And then back through the middle. Good. And just keep on going. Nice stretch and mobility for that lower back. As well as starting to connect into the obliques down the side of your body. If you want a little more, you can lift the legs up into the tabletop position. But if you don't quite feel ready for that, just keep those toes down on the floor. Whichever works for you is completely fine. And last one to each side. Breathing in as the knees fall to the side. Breathing out, coming back to the center. Good, and then just drop your heels back down onto the floor and get the arms down either side of your body again. Good, and just breathe into this position again. Getting your pelvis to neutral, checking in with your shoulders again that they haven't crept too much up towards the knees. Okay, now we're going to do some leg slides. So all we're going to do is lift our left leg first, or lift our left foot off the floor slightly, and then just slide it out along the floor. Keeping your pelvis and hips really nice and steady. And then bring it back in. Then the right leg. Extend and bring it back. Move with your breath, breathing out and breathing in. Breathing out. You can even put your hands onto your hip bones to try and focus on keeping them really, really steady and not be wobbling from side to side as you move each leg. And remember, every time that you breathe out, you want to focus on flattening and drawing inwards of all of those lovely abdominal muscles in underneath your belly button. Let's do one more on each leg. Lovely. Okay. Now, if you can bring your right leg and point it up towards the ceiling. Again, just as best as you can manage. If you need a bend in the knee, it's absolutely fine. Now, breathe in and prepare. Then, as you breathe out, we're going to start to peel the head and the shoulders off the floor as you walk your hands up that right leg. And then breathe in and lower back down. And repeat. And lower on your in-breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. Good, we'll do two more. Last one. Then lower that right foot back down onto the floor. Lift your left leg up. Breathe in and prepare. And then on your out breath, walk your hands up the back of the left leg, feeling the stretch down into your hamstring. Breathe in and lower back down. Breathe out as you lift. Breathe in as you lower. Good. Let's do two more. Brilliant. And then lower that left foot back down to the floor again. Good. Now let's lift the arms up, floating your fingertips up towards the ceiling again. Now as you breathe in, I want you to open both arms out to the side. And then as you breathe out, draw the belly button inwards and bring the hands up towards the ceiling. Breathe in and open. Breathe out and close. Good, a couple more. Lovely. Now we're going to add the legs into that movement as well. So just coming up onto your tiptoes. And then on your in-breath, open the knees out to the side as you open your arms out to the side. And then breathe out. Close everything back in. Remembering that lovely tightening in and flattening of the lower abdominals as you breathe out and draw those arms and legs back into the center. And you just open as wide as is comfortable for you and your hips, and your pelvis. Let's do two more. Lovely. Good. Okay, now we're going to just come up into a seated position. So roll over onto your side and push yourself up. And then come into the center of your mat, sitting up nice and tall with your knees bent, hands in behind your knees. Now think about just sitting up really nice and tall through your spine, so you're trying to lift up from the top of your head, and yet also drawing the shoulders down into their sockets in your back. And just breathe for a couple of breaths before we go into any kind of movement. Okay, so then we're just going to lean back slightly, and I want you to lift your right leg off the floor. Keep the hands in behind the knee, and we're going to repeat the point and flex that we did before. Point the toes, flex the foot. Point and flex. Point and flex. If you want a little more challenge, release the arms, or even try lifting the arms up either side of the ears. But it's also completely fine if you prefer to keep holding onto the leg. Keep on breathing. Try not to hold breath. Last two. Good. Then lower your right leg down to the floor. Sit up nice and tall again, shoulders back and down. Breathe in, and then on your out breath, sit back slightly. Lift your left leg off the floor, still holding on behind the left knee. Point and flex. Point and flex. Remember, you have the option to release the arms out in front, or even lifting the arms up either side of the ears, or just come back and hold in behind the thigh, behind the knee. Last two. Brilliant. And lower the leg back down again. Good. Now if you can, I want you to sit out with your legs completely flat, completely straight out in front of you. And we're just going to do a little bit of gentle twisting. So if you need to, allow a little bend in the knees, or sit yourself up on a little block or something if you need. Now, nice breath in, reaching the arms out either side. And then on your out breath, just come into a little twist around to one side, bringing your hand around to as close to the center behind you as you can, and the hand around to the outside of your thigh. Just looking back over your shoulder. Hold for a few breaths, about 2 or 3, and then come back up into the middle, arms stretched out, and just gently twist over to the other side. Hold for 2 or 3 breaths. And then we're going to do it more fluid. Breathe out, twist back to the center, and then over to the other side. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathing in, arms out. Breathe out, twist. Breathe in. Breathe out. One more to each side. Good, well done. And then just Come back into the bent knee position, hands in behind your thighs, sitting up nice and tall, and then get ready to just slowly and with control lower yourself back down onto the floor. Good, now knees both bent. I want you to lift your right foot and just put your right ankle over onto your left knee. And then we just very gently push that right knee away using your hand or even just by moving the knee itself. So you should start to feel a bit of a stretch around the outside of that right hip area. Now, if you can, I want you to lift the left foot off the floor and reach through behind your left leg and just draw the left leg in towards the body. And this should really intensify the stretch. If this is a step too far, or if you can't quite reach, just keep the left leg on the floor and focus on pushing that right knee away from you slightly. So whatever you can manage is fine. One more breath. And then release. And we swap over and do the other side. So left foot over onto your right knee. And just gently push the left knee away from you. And then if it feels okay, lift the right foot off the floor. Reach through and grab hold of that right leg, the right thigh, and just draw the legs back in, still pushing the left knee away from you. If that's too much, just keep your right foot down on the floor. Good, and then release. Put your left foot back down onto the floor again. I want you to just extend the legs out fully now, so you're in a nice, completely flat, straight line. Now breathe in, reach the arms up overhead. And then on your out breath, slide the knees in, give them a little hug as you lift your head and shoulders off the floor. And then release. So very similar to what we did before, but we're just extending the legs fully in between. If it's too much on your lower back, just bring the legs down into the bent position instead of extending them out fully. Breathe in. Breathe out. We'll do two more. Good, and then feet flat down onto the floor. Arms out either side, and just nice, gentle rocking from side to side. Lovely, then resting in the center again, putting one hand on the bottom of your ribs, one hand onto your belly, and just resting here now to finish with a couple of breaths. So breathing in through the nose, feeling everything expand, chest and belly, and then breathing out, feeling everything contract. Breathe in, expand, and breathe out. Stay here for 2 or more breaths, or longer if you want. And then when you're ready, just open the eyes again if they were closed, roll to your side and back up into a seated position. And that is this session finished. Thank you so much for joining me, and see you again soon.